So there are two, three things that are mainly required to stand out. One is that you should be very good on your general knowledge. You should know what's
Hmm.
going on in the world because in a personal interview, a lot of people say that you have that ability to direct the interview where it's going, but it's
Yeah.
to a certain extent. Sometimes what happens is
Okay.
that the interviewer will try to push you into a unknown area by taking you through the GK. They'll start talking. So I remember in my personal interview, they randomly started talking about politics. They asked me about my work ex. I was very well versed with it. So they went into politics just
Hmm.
to know how I think.
Hi guys, welcome to Skilled Sapien Podcast, yet another episode. I'm your host Himanshi Singh, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Kartik Chopra, who's IIM convert, and he's from IIM Kashipur. Hi Kartik, welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Himanshi, for having me over.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations for being a part of IIM. It's a huge thing. How does it feel being in an IIM?
It's a surreal feeling, Himanshi, to be really honest. I just graduated 8 days back, and
Okay.
it's a bit difficult to express in words how gratifying and how satisfying it is actually.
Being an IIM graduate, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like what factors should prospective students consider when choosing an MBA program for conversion?
So, Himanshi, what I did during my when I made that choice, so I took into consideration two main aspects. So one is that I come from a fashion background. I have done
Okay.
my graduation from NIFT Gandhinagar. And
Hmm.
very early on, I felt that I wanted to get into the business side of things. So,
Hmm.
how the business is run, how revenue is generated, how you go about doing marketing, how finance is handled. That is something that intrigued me a lot. And I've
Hmm.
always had this knack for leadership. From an early age, I was involved in leadership roles, either in my school or my college. I was
Yeah.
the secretary of the cult com.
Yeah.
So that was another reason that I wanted to do it. For all the prospective students who are looking to do an MBA, my advice is look at two things. One, many people do it because they want a career switch. Some might be in IT, want to get into product. That is a good reason to do an MBA because it just takes away the glass ceiling. It just helps you
Yeah.
explore things which you cannot dream without an MBA. Second is if you have a knack for leadership, then definitely go for it. It's a very satisfying experience, the 2 years, and the roles you get after that, they're absolutely amazing.
I believe not just an IIM, but also all the B schools, all the top B schools out
Yeah,
there, which are providing some extra experiential learning and practical learning to the folks out there is very important for you to like enroll
yeah,
in those MBA programs and be a part of it.
yeah.
Because ultimately you will be like experiencing a lot of things which you won't be able to experience if you're not a part of full-time MBA, I believe.
Correct, correct,
Yeah.
correct. So
And what
it's
was,
not only
yeah,
about Yeah, so it's not on. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's not about the IM tag. It's about the MBA experience and how much you can learn for it from it.
yeah.
And yeah, the
Yeah,
hands-on experience goes a long way, very long way in that.
yeah, exactly. And I believe that one thing that I wanted your opinion on that I also have experienced, like peer-to-peer learning is a very essential part in MBA. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things. So I would like to share an experience from my first time actually. So I'm a I did my 12th in science, then I went to NIF. So I don't have much background of economics or finance. And then in the first semester, you have to learn everything. So you have
Mm,
microeconomics, you have business finance and all those things. And it becomes very difficult because you have zero
I
idea about
agree.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a friend. So we all have that friend who knows finance very well, and then he
Mm.
would sit with us at night. He would tell us everything. He would teach us like we are like he teaches us like we are kids. We used to tell him the same thing that
Yeah.
teach us like we are 11th or 12th class kids, and he would
Yeah.
help us. So peer-to-peer learning is very important. You just cannot succeed in any MBA without peer-to-peer learning because some
Yeah.
places you will have that expertise where you can help them, and some places they will have that expertise which will be very, very beneficial for you.
Yeah, even I remember one of the incidents, like every time when we have an exam and there's one subject when where everyone is like, okay, this is very tough. We can't do that. So
Yeah,
then there's one person who acts as a savior or group of people who like have their
yeah,
hands on that subject and then they teach the whole class all together.
yeah.
They use the blackboard and everything feels like there's a lecture going on at 11 p.m. at night in an MBA
11.
college.
Yeah,
11
yeah,
p.m. to 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. That's
yeah,
something very level, like it's an experience that one should experience in his lifetime. That being in an
yeah,
MBA college feels very, very surreal. It's an amazing thing because
yeah.
these 2 a.m., 3 a.m. classes seems like very surprising, but it's a great one. These are the best classes you'll ever get.
Those are the moments you remember for your life. That person helped me
Exactly.
with my economics subject, or my that friend helped me with my operation subject. And then they are the reason you actually make it in life, because if they were not there at that moment, you don't know how you're going to pass it, to be really honest.
So like I have I to have a clear experience. Like I was like it was a advanced data analytics for me. So
Yeah,
for me it was like I'm not an analytics person, but I
yeah,
want to like at least pass in this subject. I can't fail, or I don't want a low pass or something. So I wanted a good pass, but then there was this person who like taught the whole class that subject, and I
yeah.
literally excelled in that subject. I got an honor pass. So literally, I didn't even expect it. And in one night, that one guy made everyone pass with like flying
Yeah,
colors. Yeah. So like, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. I was saying these are the people who are the real ones. Like these are our saviors actually.
Yeah, exactly. So like, can you share the insight into your application review process, MB and for an MBA conversion candidate?
So the application review process is actually not very difficult. It's a very straightforward process.
Hmm.
Um, as much as I remember, there was, see, what I'll tell you is so because I am from the COVID batch, so there was not a very formal way of it. As much as I remember, the CAP thing happened very fast. There was a personal interview only, and there was not even a GD, to be really honest with you. It was a very fast process. We gave
So
our CAT, then
yeah. So do you think that this
yeah,
process, which was very different from that of the normal days in the COVID, acted as
yeah.
a boon for you? Like it was some way saved you?
No, I don't think it was a boon actually, because the problem was that there was no GD. So
Yeah.
all our hopes were pinned on the PI. So there was actually a lot of added pressure, because you only got one hit, and if you miss it, it's done. It actually
Oh,
added to the pressure in a way, because what was happening was everyone was in their homes. There was no exposure, and then our
yeah.
degrees were also getting very hampered. So there was a lot
Yeah.
of learning gap that was happening. So
Hmm.
it was a lot. I would say it was more difficult, because sitting and giving an interview through a screen, it becomes a lot more difficult to convey your thoughts and to
Exactly.
understand the environment of the room, environment, how the other person is thinking. That was the thing. And I remember sitting in front of the camera for 3 hours just waiting for my interview to happen.
Oh my
That
God.
literally adds to the pressure.
Yeah, because even in job interviews, I believe when there's this personal interview one-on-one, where you're sitting in the room surrounded with the people, you can like sense the energy of the people over there.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
is one very important thing in one-on-one interview. People who think that online one is easy, it's even tough. Because in
It's
that
even
case,
tougher.
you can't even sense the energy. You can't even sense that, okay, everything's cool around me. I can relax and I can give answers
Uh,
normally. But in that case, you can only see this much. Like if in this
yeah.
podcast, I am very, very formal to you and we are like just discussing question, you'll be like, okay, am I giving an interview? You'll sense that. So that's why we
Yeah.
need to express ourselves even more on the screen, because that's
Yeah.
necessary. That other person can at least feel the energy. But the people who will be taking your interview, to all the folks out there, if I don't hope, I just pray it doesn't happens again. But if like you get an online interview, then in that case, it's very difficult to like analyze what's going on.
So when I got into my MBA, so we had our summer internship interviews in the starting of September. It was very difficult in the beginning because it's very difficult to understand what's going on. You don't know how that other person is feeling. So I gave 2, 3 interviews in the beginning. They did not work out because it was very difficult to read the person. And then I
Yeah.
actually converted. Then there was this company who came offline, and I converted that in the first attempt because in an offline interview, it becomes very much easier for you to make yourself comfortable and for
Yeah.
the other person also to make that effort that you are comfortable in that environment in the interview.
Yeah.
Whereas in an online interview, it's very difficult because the tension is much higher and everyone is just trying to be so formal that you don't know what's going on very well.
Yeah, exactly. And one more thing, I wanted an opinion of yours, and like I have a personal, like rigid opinion on that. That the way you dress up, the way you enter the room, the way you sit, the way you stand, also
Yeah.
matters a lot in your interview. And when you're
Yes.
not able to do that, like you're just on the
Yeah.
screen this much visible, and they have to judge only on this criteria, then the
Yeah.
criteria reduces to one or two or three maybe, but not as much as it was earlier. So the chances
Completely
also
agree.
somewhat reduces, because if you have that aura, if you have that personality, that you will enter the room and they'll be feeling like, okay, someone's here who's
Yeah.
confident enough, then they can't sense that because you're not entering here and sitting over
Yeah.
the place. Yeah.
Yeah. So in our online interviews, like the screen, you just join the interview, they'll start asking you random questions and they will judge you on that. Whereas in an offline interview, you get that 30 to 45 seconds to make yourself comfortable, and you also get that opportunity to show your confidence levels, to make the other person comfortable as well. I remember when I walked into my Tata Capital interview, the
Yeah.
offline one, yeah, we shook hands, then I sat, they asked me if I want water or anything. That also helps in a manner because when you go into an interview, the pressure is anyways high because you understand that you're only getting a set number of chances.
Hmm.
That helps in a lot, in a very very good way actually. Whereas in an online interview, I remember there were many interviews. So the common orthodox way of doing it is that you go in, there's an introduction that happens. Whereas in some, you don't even get a chance to introduce yourself. You just get in, they'll ask you 5 6 random questions. Okay, what you did, where you did, how you did, and then it's done. So within like 10 12 minutes the interview is done, and it becomes very difficult to express yourself, to express your personality, express how you think. And I feel in an MBA interview, in any job interview, it becomes very important because it's all about cultural fit, it's all about how you fit into the team, and it's also mainly about your problem solving ability and how you can gel with the team. And that
Yeah.
becomes very difficult to express in an online interview.
Yeah. Even I got my summer internship through an online interview process only.
Yeah,
But it was like the one I qualified till the end was also like I have qualified till the end. Like there are some 6 round, 7 round, 8 round interview process, a
yeah,
lot of things. So I qualified a lot of those, but I wasn't able to make it to the last round. But
yeah,
two interviews I was make it able to make it to the last round, and one I got into. So that was an online one. And one thing I realized from my mistake in the online interview, which people do, they just answer the question. You have to like when you have been asked no about give your elevator pitch or introduce
yeah,
yourself. That
yeah,
should be on point. That should be
yeah,
on point and interesting enough to get them hooked. Okay, so this is something good
exactly.
coming our way. And that
Yeah,
first point itself should be strong enough to make everyone hook up to like, okay, this is the person, this is an interesting person. Okay, this is he or she is talking something good. They should be hooked about it. Yeah, that is one thing all the people, all the folks out there for online interview should keep in mind.
definitely. You need to master your elevator pitch. You need to like
Yeah,
you should have it in your head at all times. You should be well versed with it, and you should be confident while speaking. You should not come out like as if you are just
mugged up.
you have mugged it again. Yeah,
Yeah,
you should come out as a confident thing which you live by,
yeah,
which you feel
exactly.
about yourself.
Which you feel about it. I took three attempts to write a perfect elevator pitch for myself. Like this,
It
like
takes a
when I
lot of
read
attention.
that, yeah, when I wrote that, I was like 3 days, and I might tell you a lot of attempts. Attempts I
Yeah,
don't even remember. So when I read that, I was like, okay, this is the one I feel like I am. There's nothing, no alterations are required now. And then there was a friend of mine who required the same elevator. She's like, okay, now you qualified, give me your elevator pitch. Okay, it
It
doesn't
doesn't work
happens
that
like
way.
that.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
I sat to write mine for the first time, and for the first two hours I was blank. Actually, I didn't know what to write because it's something which should come from inside. Until the time it doesn't come from inside, it feels very robotic. To be really honest with you,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because elevator
that
pitch is
is
like
true.
one of the most important thing that is not going to just help you in your IIM conversions, MBA conversions, but in your summer internship interviews, in your final placements, then later on when you'll be switching the jobs and everything. So you have to take that legacy like a treasure
Yeah,
forever in your life with you,
yeah,
because that is actually a treasure. When if you got
yeah,
one good elevator pitch for yourself that describes you perfectly, that's it. That's it.
yeah. That is a very like that's a success mantra. To be really honest, one of the
Yeah,
success mantra.
exactly. I agree. So, like, what are the strategies can conversion applicants use to strengthen their candidacy and stand out of the crowd?
So there are two, three things that are mainly required to stand out. One is that you should be very good on your general knowledge. You should know what's
Hmm.
going on in the world because in a personal interview, a lot of people say that you have that ability to direct the interview where it's going, but it's
Yeah.
to a certain extent. Sometimes what happens is
Okay.
that the interviewer will try to push you into a unknown area by taking you through the GK. They'll start talking. So I remember in my personal interview, they randomly started talking about politics. They asked me about my work ex. I was very well versed with it. So they went into politics just
Hmm.
to know how I think. So you should be very well versed with your general knowledge. That is one way of standing out. Second thing, again, that we talked about, elevator pitch helps. They will ask you to definitely introduce yourself. That is the first standard question every interviewer asks. That should
Yeah.
be very well versed, and there should be a hooking factor to it. That something you say which hooks up the interviewer. Because
Yeah.
if it's not there, it will very fastly become monotonous. The other person will lose interest and they will not take it forward because at the end of the day how much you want to do it, it is his or her say that how long he or she wants to take it. That is the second most important thing. And the third thing is you should be confident at all times. Whatever you are saying, you should ooze that confidence that yes, I know what I'm saying. I've not mugged it up, I've actually done it, and I'm very clear in my thought process. And one more thing is, people should, to all the applicants out there, start solving random problems. It helps. It helps in a long way because it builds up your critical thinking. It builds up your problem solving ability. It helps you approach things in an unorthodox manner, which actually a lot of interviewers like because they're looking. They want you to come up with a creative solution to problems. That also really helps because
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends. He got asked a question. The first question he got asked was, you have to build an helicopter for Bill Gates. How will you approach the problem? So there's no right or wrong answer to it. They just want to see your approach. So if you have that problem solving ability, it becomes much easier for you to approach the question.
I was asked one question during one of my interview. It was a job interview. So they were like, it was a great company. So they asked
Yeah.
me like, if okay, what do you like in your daily routine? Do you do makeup or not, or something like that? They asked me on my makeup. I go, yeah, I do my makeup. So okay. So
Yeah.
which company from which app do you prefer buying makeup? I like
Yeah.
Nika. Okay. So you have to launch Nika in US. How you'll do that?
Yeah.
Start.
That is the kind of
And they were
questions
like,
they love to
start.
do.
Yeah, and they were like, start. So you
Yeah.
have
They
to
don't
like,
even give 15 seconds.
no 15, 5, 4 seconds. Just start. You have to launch, introduce. तुम जो भी समझो उस question का, whatever is your understanding. Now you have to
Yeah.
describe whatever that
Yeah.
they put on one question, and then you have to start with everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the like criterias or areas where a person should focus while their conversion process, like admission criterias or something?
So admission criteria for every college gets defined before actually CAT happens. So
Yeah.
that is not the most important thing. First thing is to get the CAT exam right. And for that, I've always felt during my journeys,
Like for
accuracy comes over speed.
yeah, exactly. Like for how many time, like how many months or years you prepared?
So I gave CAT twice, and for
Okay.
both the attempts, I roughly prepared for
Hmm.
about 5 months. Second attempt, I actually prepared with my job. So that was a bit trickier because I had a 9 to 5 from every day. So I used to prepare in the night. So for any conversion, first thing is you need to ace the CAT exam, and for that, accuracy comes over speed. It doesn't matter how fast you are. If you get it wrong, it actually acts as a bane. You are getting a -1.
Yeah.
So first thing is you need to ace your CAT, get the basics right, go through the test series, try to ace them. The next step is to, in today's world, you go through a GDPI round. So for GD, the best thing to do is again read newspapers, get on top of the general knowledge. And a very good thing to do is try practicing GDs. And not only so, for every topic, try to practice it from both ends, from the positive side and the negative side. Because sometimes in a GD, what happens is you are forced to take a side which you're not comfortable with, because some
Yeah.
2 or 3 people before you have actually talked about the same side and they have exhausted the points. So you are forced to take up a side which you're not comfortable with. So if you prepare every topic from both the sides, you get that edge over others, that you can think from both the sides. That is very important. And for PI, first thing that any student needs to do for PI is get get every point, get well versed with every point on your resume. Whatever they ask you from your resume, it should be on your tips. They talk
Hmm.
about your work ex, they talk about any of your past achievements, they talk about your education. Because in my time, I remember being from NIFT, I've done a course which not a lot of people know about. So I knew that it was going to be a question that is going to come up. So I
Hmm.
prepared it very well, that I had a very structured, correct answer ready for it, so that the person understands it in on the whim. That is very important. And then, because you have prepared well for the GD, it actually translates into the PI as well, because you're well versed with the general topics, you're well versed with the facts that are going around. So you can actually imbibe them into your interview, and it helps the other person understand that yes, you are aware of what is happening. And that is what an MBA actually requires. You're
Hmm.
required to
Exactly.
solve, you are required to solve problems as they come. And to solve those problems, you should know what is actually going around.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe reading is an essential part of MBA. Like, not just MBA,
Completely.
I believe if you want to excel in anything, everything, you have to start reading. That is unavoidable. You cannot
That
skip
is
reading
unavoidable.
and excel in your other areas and get an
Yeah.
expertise over that. Like, if even if like there's word power, there was this book, A Word Made Easy.
Yeah, word power made easy.
Yeah, word power made easy.
Yeah,
So I
that
even
red
I
color
did
book.
that book. Yeah, red color book. Even
Yeah,
I have it
we
right
all
now.
have done that.
So
Yeah,
yeah. So that is one book I always recommend to the people who are like who hesitate in speaking English or something like that, and they don't understand a few words or something. So I told them like if you will start this book, you'll get a deeper knowledge, and
yeah,
English would be made interesting to you. Like Word
yeah,
Power Made Easy is a book like everybody recommends. That English book is like if you have read that book twice, like twice, that's enough for your for building your vocab, I guess,
yeah, yeah.
because
It's
it
more than
does.
enough, I feel.
It's more than
Yeah,
enough, yeah, because that
yeah,
puts so many words in your dictionary, in dictionary of your head. Like you get to know a lot about there's one word and several stories and part related to it, and what's the other meaning of
yeah,
it. So yeah, it's very interesting, and people should focus on reading and building their vocab. That is very, very important, because
definitely.
ultimately, Karthik, I believe if your vocab is not good, you are not able to understand all the questions.
Yeah, and it also becomes difficult to put your point across. However clear you are
Yeah.
in your thoughts, it becomes very difficult to translate it into words.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So,
and I
like, are
remember,
there? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Please
you
go on.
go ahead.
So
You go ahead.
so what I was saying is that I remember, and this is something for everyone out there. When
Mm.
I got into my MBA, and you would also agree with it, that sometimes you lose those habits because in the first 6, 7, 8 months, it's very hectic. So I remember when the first year ended, I actually had stopped reading books because of all the excess pressure and everything that was going on. So then I again bought it back with me. I started carrying a book with me whenever I would go into a flight or I would sit at home idle. I started reading books again. So yeah, completely agree with you. Reading books is something which is a very good habit, and which no one should let go at any point of time.
Yeah, because
It
I
helps you
also,
immensely.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
I stopped reading when I entered my MBA, and then
yeah,
later, after 8, 9 months, I realized, okay, you can't do that because that was
Yeah.
reflecting in my interviews, I tell you. Matlab, that is an honest confession, because when I stopped reading, I was short on words. I was short on like building up stories. You have to build up a few things in your
Yeah.
interview. Like you
True.
have to explain yourself very well. So that was lacking somewhere. And then I realized, okay, I need to keep that thing always with me in my life, because
Yeah.
later on when I'll be facing more and more interviews. So
Yeah.
for that, it is very much required that what you'll talk to one person if you don't know anything about that particular topic.
Yeah. That is true. That is something. So reading as a habit, everyone should inculcate, and for
Yeah.
and that is a message for everyone. You just cannot get around. There's no shortcut to it, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are there any misconception myths about MBA conversion that you got to know after entering IIM and people are unaware of?
So there was no myths as such, but there are some misconceptions. So one of the
Mm,
biggest misconceptions that I see among students who have actually entered an MBA is that their battle is done, but which
mm,
is very wrong. The battle is just getting started, because till now, because from here on, you will be competing with people who are actually better than you. All of you who have converted and gotten that at college are actually at the same level, and
mm.
it becomes much difficult because you take your eye off the ball for one day and you start losing, you start slacking behind. That is one misconception. Don't think for one day that the battle is over. The battle never gets over. It's just that your priorities change. Till now, it was to get into the college. Now it's to get out of the college with flying colors and a very good job. That
When
is one
you
misconception.
exactly. And the other one?
The other one is that that a lot of people do is they don't prepare for PI very well. I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
people fail on the last hurdle because they haven't prepared well. And actually, for me, it was the most important step, because it's all about making the other person understand why you are fit for the seat that you are vying. And if you can't express that well, if you can't put it across well, they will never accept you into their college. So PI is a very important thing, and there are a lot of things. Reading is very important for that. Again,
yeah,
problem solving ability needs to be there. You need to have a very good hold of your resume. All those things are very important.
yeah, exactly. So, like, what, like, right now you are like working with Tata, right?
No, I'm not working with Tata. I'm
Yeah, you're
working with
working
a
with.
startup.
Okay, so
I'm working. Yeah,
you interned with
correct,
yeah, you
correct. I
interned with
interned with
Tata,
Tata
right?
Capital.
Yeah, and right now you're
Yeah,
working with a startup company. So, like, even that process, when you like
yeah,
appear for your summer internship or your final placement, it takes a lot of rejection, you guys. I'm telling to all of you out
yeah,
there, don't feel like ashamed, don't feel like shattered enough when you're not getting into your
correct.
one interview, because there I have seen people who have faced like multiple rejection, more than 15, 10, 18, 20, 50 rejections they have
Yeah,
faced, like sitting in an interview because they have such strong profile, they get shortlisted and everything, then they make it to the GD round also, and then they get rejected in the PI round, because
PA
some
round.
or the
Yeah,
other thing happens, because they,
yeah,
that's not because they're not capable enough, Kartik. I believe that's one of the reason is that the profile doesn't suits them, and that's in the
exactly,
recruiter's head already.
exactly,
And when a
exactly.
recruiter chooses you while you're interview in anything, he has already made his mind for several profiles, and
Yeah,
he only wants to test those profiles at that point. Like he likes
yeah,
those profile, they are done. But if they don't,
yeah,
then you are like other option for that thing. And for the
yeah,
job role, you are chosen as the profile, your profile is chosen at first, then you will
yeah.
be getting a chance to express yourself and everything. So yeah,
Very true.
that is, I believe that is pure luck based, with whichever company is coming.
So there is this
Campus
we have
placement.
this saying in campus placement that it is more of a lottery. You don't know who might strike it when.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
remember,
it is.
yeah. So yeah, first of all, in any recruitment process, there are n number of factors and n number of things happening that are beyond your control. What is in your control is that you ace your interview, you ace the GD, and then you leave it on the recruiter, because sometimes things happen which are not in your control. There's a story I would like to tell. in the first year, I converted the third company I sat for, and I
Okay.
was actually I and I got placed in the first month the placement started,
Mm.
and in the final placements, I was actually I actually sat for a lot of companies, and I got placed in April.
Oh my God.
Yes, because see, why I did that, there's a clear reasoning for that. I knew my self-worth, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what would make me happy. And because I was very clear with it, I only sat for companies which I knew that I can do justice to those roles.
Mm.
And yes, I had to face a lot of rejections. There are days when your friends get placed, you are not placed, they're getting into excellent companies, and you're thinking that what will happen from here on. There's a lot of nervousness around.
But
But
every journey is
always remember
different.
your self-worth. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree. You should always remember your self-worth. You should remember what you are good at, and you should remember what will make you happy. If you've
Yeah.
got those three things with you, you will definitely get somewhere, because there's someone out there who knows your worth, and he will do justice to your worth as well. So don't get demotivated just because your friend got placed or get placed out of peer pressure. It's better to wait it out and look for the right opportunity than get stuck with an opportunity where you don't feel appreciated or you don't feel you're able to justice do it. So
Mm.
coming back to your point again, every journey is going to be different, and make sure yours is the one worth having for
Yeah.
yourself actually.
Exactly. So, like,
Yes.
ending with the last question, like, what are the three things that every individual appearing and trying to aim an IIM should keep in mind?
So I think that in today's world, it's not only IIM that matters for
Yeah.
you should. I feel there are many colleges which are worth it. But if you are aiming for any good colleges, there are three things that you should be very good at. One is your problem solving ability should be on point, because as an MBA, once you get out of the college, that is the thing which you will be hired for. If you
Yeah.
don't have very good problem solving ability, it becomes very difficult to get hired, because they are
Mm.
hiring you for that approach that you will come in and you will solve those problems for them, which will come in the future, which they
Mm.
can't even forecast will happen with them. That is one thing. Second thing that I would say is you should have very, very good communication skills. Getting
Yeah.
out of an MBA is all about managing people.
Yeah.
A lot of your day will go into managing people, managing their expectations, managing the work they are doing. And to do that effectively, you need to have a very good communication skills, because if you don't put across what you are saying in the right manner, it can lead to a lot of clashes, which is not
Yeah.
good either for you or for the company. So your communication
Exactly.
skills need to be very good. And you
Mm.
should have, and third thing is, if you're getting into any committee, any club, and this is an essential part of MBA life, getting into a committee or a club, try to try to get into those leadership roles, because it will help you for the life ahead. Because once you get the knack for leadership, once you get the thirst for it, you understand how you are going to lead the team, how you're going to take it towards success, and how you're going to keep everyone together and happy, which is actually the most important thing. And this is something which I'm grappling with. So I have got a team of around 10 people under me, and the most important thing that I have to do is to ensure that everyone is happy. I'm managing everyone's expectations well. And yeah, that is actually what I do for 60 or 70% of my day today. And these are the
Yeah.
three things which, if you get these three things, you are bound to get successful in life.
I absolutely agree with all of your points, and even I'm gonna like keep this in my head. A few things that I learned from you and
Uh,
your insightful session, and it was a really great and insightful session with you, Karthik. Thank you so much for coming on board and sharing your experiences with the folks out there. It will be really helpful for them. And thank you so much again. And to all the folks out there, do listen to all the learnings you're getting from these podcasts. It's gonna help you a lot, because when there's someone telling you their own experiences and explaining about them, that is very, very important. And this is raw, completely raw, whatever we are sharing with you. Yeah. So do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Skill Sapien Podcast. Stay tuned.